Heartbreak isn't easy. It never is, and it never will be. But let me tell you that it will get better from here. But before I go into my story of heartbreak, remember to like the video and subscribe to get more content like this. Back when I was in high school, I dated this girl in sophomore year. We've dated for a year. I thought things were great, but then she ended our relationship a year in. And I wasn't the best person, nor was she, but at the time, it was devastating. To have it end without knowing why it ended, it sucked. And it hurt a lot more than if someone actually gave you a reason on why it ended. And the way that she broke up for me was probably the worst way you could do it. I mean, we kind of met a little bit afterwards because I wanted to understand why. A month after our 1 year, she stopped replying to me. She slowly separated herself from me, and at some point she never texted me back again. So for me, that was very odd, so I decided to investigate myself. So I had to call her and make sure that everything was right, everything was okay, which of course it wasn't. And having to deal about a week or two without having any contact or conversation with her until I knew what happened, it was probably the worst pain I've felt, at that time. But anyways, we met in person, had a long conversation about things that went wrong, the memories that we had, and wishing each other the best. I remember going back home after that conversation, going to work at the restaurant, which was a little depressing because no one was really there, and the work environment's great, but I was in the best mood. I remember then going back home and sitting on my bed playing Fire Force to numb my feelings. Even though that Fire Force intro is fire, no pun intended, it's probably the worst feeling I felt during that night. And to numb that feeling, I basically binge watched Fire Force. And I remember sitting on my bed watching Fire Force and thinking to myself, what went wrong? And this is something you have to do first after heartbreak. Of course, you can get into your feelings for a couple of days, but you should really think, why did this relationship end? Maybe you weren't the best person for her. Maybe she wasn't the best person for you. But you have to understand, why did it not last? Everybody's different, so of course, some things you might not be compatible with, but something must have been wrong with you during the relationship or even with her that made it not as well as it should be. So what I did was I self-reflected. I opened a book or journal. I tried to remember all my memories with her, all the actions I did and actions that she did, and I made a list. What did I do well? What did I do wrong? What did she do right? What did she do wrong? And what could have been better? And after making that list, I looked at it every day, and it pissed me off to look at it because at that time I had trouble of owning my own mistakes and the things that have gone wrong. But anyways, I knew I needed to reflect on myself because I didn't want to bring this terrible personality that I had, or not a very good character that I had, onto the next relationships, because my ego says that it is my own problem and I am the problem, so something needs to be done so that it doesn't happen to the next person. So that's why I made a list, so I know what to work on, so when I get into another relationship, it doesn't happen again. That's what I did. I reviewed it every single day, made sure my habits aligned with it, which then 2 months in, I came across David Goggins. I listened to his audiobook, Can't Hurt Me, which then ignited me to work on myself a lot more. And this allowed me to dive into self-improvement a lot more. And from all this anger and emotions I had from heartbreak, what Can't Hurt Me taught me was I can use this pain to fuel me towards something I want to achieve. So what I did was I turned this anger and this energy towards training to get faster. This was also when I wanted to get faster in track and field. This was when I started to take it seriously. So looking back from that heartbreak, I don't think I would have taken track super seriously. I don't think I would have gotten faster without having this fuel, because there wouldn't be any driver for me to tack at what I want. Probably wouldn't have stumbled across David Goggins. I probably wouldn't have also pushed myself to the limits. So every morning when I worked out, I put on David Goggins' book. And honestly, it's a vibe. You go outside, it's sort of pitch black, and most of the time you're hearing David's voice. But yeah, Heartbreak was the main catalyst for me to start improving myself and start doing channels like this. So with that, a couple months afterwards, I started to get better. I've noticed I've gotten stronger, my speed has increased, I was way more focused, and I started to read more books than I've ever read before. And from reflecting upon my life and the habits that I had, which reflected my relationships to others and myself, I've noticed that I needed to have more positive habits. So this heartbreak allowed me to basically reconstruct my life. And in order to reconstruct your life, you need to build better habits. So I started eating better, drinking a lot more water, cutting out the junk food, sleeping a lot more, killing social media, keeping my phone out of my room, focusing a lot more on my work. And this led me to also try to love myself more. This is a problem I still have because I'm a very harsh critic, especially to myself, because I know I could do a lot better. This allowed me to start to improve things that I actually wanted to improve on, which was track. What I'm trying to say is, I know heartbreak sucks. I know a lot of people out there are afraid to get their heart broken. I have to admit that I'm still a little scared of it. Don't be afraid when it happens. Just remember that you can always improve yourself. So you better start now. Be the best version of yourself. So when you walk into a relationship, or if you're already in a relationship, you're able to bring that high value to that person. Because without it, that's how relationships break. What I've noticed was that I had these bad habits which didn't lead to a better relationship with myself and with the other person. So once you have these great habits in your arsenal, your relationship with yourself starts to increase, it starts to be better, which then makes you be able to have better relationships with other people. But if you're heartbroken right now, think about what you did wrong, reflect upon what was good, what was bad, and then look into your life, look at your deficiencies, what you want to achieve, and then use that anger, that sadness to fuel you to do the work that you want to do. Don't pay attention to other people. So if you're a guy, don't pay attention to other women. Don't chase anybody. This is the time for you to sit, isolate yourself from social media, and just work. Work on yourself and work towards something. Use this as fuel to get yourself better. What I like to always say is, if you have no stress, there is no growth. That's how I took heartbreak, and so can you. Anyways, if you want to learn the benefits of deleting social media, I'll put the video right here.